listening to the Future Tech Podcast with Richard Jacobs. Future technologies such as artificial intelligence, stem cells, 3D printing, gene editing, Bitcoin, blockchain, the microbiome, quantum computing, virtual reality, and exploring space are much closer than you might think. In fact, many early versions of these technologies are in play right now, and the companies that are using these technologies are the focus of this podcast. My goal for you, the listener, is to learn from these podcasts. You may very well learn something that may change the course of your life for the better, steer you towards a new career, or give you insight into addressing a thorny medical problem. Remember, this podcast and its content is informational in nature only. No medical, tax, legal, financial, or psychological advice is being given. If you enjoyed the podcast, please listen, subscribe, like, and tell your friends about it. Thank you. Hello, this is Richard Jacobs with the Future Tech and Future Tech Health podcasts. I have Sam Bathla. He's the author of The Science of High Performance. So, Sam, how you doing? Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much, Richard, for giving me this opportunity to share my message with your audience. Yeah, great to be here.
Well, tell me, so what's the book about, The Science of High Performance? What kind of performance are you going to talk about in the book?
Yeah, precisely. This book is talking about how anyone who is willing to perform at the higher level can explore their inner potential and harness that inner potential to reach to those higher levels. It's all about, it's not specifically related to any kind of sports thing or specifically. Precisely, this performance, when you're talking about this performance, could be into your day job, it could be into your business, it could be into any kind of physical activity. So wherever you want to perform better and deliver better results, what kind of strategies you should use from mental perspective, from physical perspective. This book covers each aspects of it and how you can reach to a flow state where you could perform at the peak levels for a longer period of time. I have explained the strategies about that in this book.
Well, what inspired you to write the book? What have you done in your own life to help yourself get into flow or to have peak performance?
A very good question. So precisely, my background is I was a corporate lawyer for a period of 17 years. And then I switched 1.5 years back into a full-time writer. So the example of my performance is that so far I have written 18 books into personal development arena. I write about how to conquer negative beliefs, how to perform at high levels, how to accelerate your learning, how to improve your mindset, and how to think better. So so far I have written 18 books, as I told, and I have been featured in top 50 Amazon authors into business and money category. And most of my books have touched Amazon bestseller. So this is like example of how I have performed in this career as an author at higher levels and become consistent and conquer my own fears. So this journey of being into author has been a very topsy-turvy ride of thinking of new ideas and researching about that, and then imbibe those things into my life. So, and then sharing my message, the wisdom I gain from all the research and then my own life experiences. I've captured everything in my books. So that's why I find that, this kind of decision is a bold decision. After 17 years, if you move to a different career, it requires, some courage to burn the boats and then get into a altogether non-traditional kind of a way. Right. So I feel myself that, this journey of mine is a kind of performing at a very high levels.
So out of all the things that you worked on to improve yourself, were some harder than others? Were some more beneficial to you than others? Like, tell me about your journey. What did you work on to change in yourself, and what was it like when you did it?
Yep. When I would say that when you take such kind of different path, which is beyond the conventional path of doing a day job or doing a regular business of like a brick and mortar business. So as I'm from India, so here, though the environment is catching up, but still I don't find many people in my ecosystem who are doing more of this kind of thing which I'm doing. There are bloggers, of course, but specifically authors who are producing books into at such a good pace. I don't find any of the people here. So of course, there are times when I was feeling like lonely, and even after writing 5, 6 books, I have at some point of time I was feeling like an imposter syndrome, like the feeling that even if you have achieved a kind of a success which others really look forward to achieve. I was like at that point of time featured in Amazon Top 50. My books were running as best-selling books. Still, I was having some feeling in my mind that no, there is something which could be caught out. This feeling is called imposter syndrome, as you know. So in those period of time, you have to stay motivated and keep doing the work. So all kind of research I was doing, the people I was listening to on the podcast, like the podcast shows like yours, where we listen to different kind of people sharing their experiences. So although the journey was lonely in the physical environment, but I have been priming my mind for a long period of time through reading books or online courses or listening to these types of podcast shows or YouTube interviews. So I have been able to overcome those periods successfully. And then the kind of books I write, like The Power of Self-Discipline, The Gift of Grit. So when you write such kind of books, it gives a moral responsibility upon you to, follow what you are preaching. So this period has helped me to imbibe that knowledge into my own life and look at my own self-talk going in my head, power of my self-talk, look at specifically on my emotions, how my thoughts are creating different kind of feelings and emotions. And then if I could look at those thoughts as a different from myself, then I can at least work on improving the quality of those thoughts. So I write about personal development. So all personal development starts from self. So I'm very well aware about that. And it's a journey. You never reach at a peak because every time you reach a place, there is something ahead lying of you. It's a journey. So I'm mindful of that. And this journey is really helping me to evolve myself as a person as I'm exploring the life.
Okay. Well, along the way, what have you found, what kind of changes have you made in yourself that surprised you because they were so effective or they impacted you and you never imagined they would impact you that way? Like, do you have any specific examples?
If I talk about some specific examples, I could think of one or two examples. For example, let me, a couple of years back, I was slightly overweight. I was not doing regular exercise, and then I decided that I would be running a 10-kilometer marathon. So then I started doing, based on all this information which I was gaining in my mind and getting inspiration, I gave myself a challenge that in a period of 12 weeks, I will run 10 kilometers. So then I looked online and looked at some resources, how to do the training. So training for that particular run, how much time you spend every day, what kind of steps you need to take for recovering yourself. So the process of achieving any goal was reverse engineering. I learned from that particular experience is that you have to reach at a particular goal, then you have to reverse engineer as to how much preparation you need to do for achieving that particular goal. So then I structured my whole daily routine as per that, like what kind of exercise regime I need to do, how much I have to run on a daily basis, or when I need to take breaks to recover, and then what kind of diet I need to have, what kind of thinking I need to develop in terms of getting disciplined, waking up early, doing exercises, running. So this was, apparently from the outside, it's a physical achievement of running that much, but a lot of stuff. As we say that in the sports itself, 90% game is a mental game. So the process is about, if you want to grow, then you have to put stress plus as well as you have to recover alongside. And in sports, there is if you want to grow, you have to have a particular amount of stretch to yourself, and then you have to recover yourself. If you go into the gym, and keep doing heavy weights over and over, then your muscles will burn out and you won't be getting into injury. So there is a proper balance between how much stress you have to give and then how much recovery you need to do. So stress plus recovery is a combination for a growth. So like all these kinds of stuff I was learning, implementing. So then I was able to comfortably run for 10 kilometers for a long period of time. And then I participated in the race and I successfully completed it. And this kind of experiences basically transform your mindset that you can achieve success in this way. So at least then you can replicate the process for achieving any other kind of stuff. So whenever I recall of some challenge or anything, I think of the previous experiences, what I did in that experience, and then I replicate the process. So those kind of experiences are really helpful, and you can basically apply those experiences to any new kind of challenges in your life. That's what I feel.
Okay, and did you succeed at running the 10K, or was it a 12K or 10K?
10K. Yeah, I basically the basically race was finally for 6 kilometers, but I gave myself 10 kilometer challenge. So I was personally running in the on a daily basis. So I achieved 10K for myself. The race distance was 6 kilometers. It was a half marathon competition, but 6 kilometer was another version of that particular race. So I completed that successfully. But before that, I was able to successfully run 10 kilometers on my own. That was a personal challenge too. Yeah.
And what about getting into flow? You mentioned getting into flow. I've heard that a few times. Can you define what flow means? And, when in your life have you experienced it? What was it like?
Yeah. So basically, flow state is something in which you are so deeply immersed into doing something that you don't remember of time. So this basically flow state has certain specific elements which come into play. So basically everything starts from your mental game, and then you are working on something you really care about. In flow state, if you are having a feeling that you are growing, you are contributing, you achieve a state of internal happiness where you don't feel the work like a work. So there is a very good book by Mihaly
Csikszentmihalyi. Yeah.
Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, which talks about flow, and basically there's a talk he had given in which he described that based on his studies and interviews of more than 800 people around the world, which could be like monks or blind nuns or Himalayan climbers. So they were enjoying their work a lot. So regardless of the culture or education, whatever, he found that there are certain specific conditions when a person is found to be in a state of flow. Like the persons are totally involved in what they are doing, like their focus and concentration. There is a sense of ecstasy or of being outside everyday reality, like they're into that state. So there is a high level of inner clarity that what needs to be done, how well we are doing. And then, they know that thing is challenging, but they are also having a kind of belief that their skills are adequate to that task. They can do it. So as I said, they have a sense of timelessness, like the hour seems to pass in minutes. So, and there is intrinsic motivation to do certain things. So there are two kinds of motivation: intrinsic motivation, extrinsic motivation. For example, if somebody says that I want to lose weight of say 20 pounds to look good to other people, that is extrinsic motivation. But if somebody says that I want to lose weight to feel a feeling of inner vibrancy, that is a kind of intrinsic motivation. So all these characteristics were found by Mihaly in that particular book. So that is a state of flow, and as I said, the flow state requires you to have very much clarity about what you want to do. There needs to be a feeling of that you are taking that challenge, but it's not like impossible thing to do. You are taking challenge, but you have a deep confidence into your abilities and skills. So that's how people can get into state of flow if they keep on taking challenges, if they're intrinsically motivated about the stuff to be done. It's not something outside pressure which forces them to do. If it is something which they are from their inside are willing to do for a longer period of time. So when they are doing certain things with clubbed with all these inner traits, so they start to get into the state of flow, and the mind basically supports and doing that kind of activity, and things get done faster in that state. So I have in the personal life experienced certain times in my corporate lawyer field as well when I was working on some transaction. So even if we are working until late 11 or 12 in the night, and still I was waking up early in the morning and going to office, first person in the office, and then doing those stuff. So I realized that yes, when you are into that state, you don't feel work like work. In my writing career also, I have at times woken up at 4:30 a.m. in the morning, and when I start writing, it seems like fingers are. There is the way thoughts are coming to your mind, the fingers are not supporting that speed, because the way mind works at that point of time, it really is that state that you want more and more to be done. So yeah, that's the kind of flow state I'm talking about.
Well, it sounds wonderful, and I've heard about flow and all that, but I haven't really heard anyone talk about how to get into flow. They say if you're a high performance athlete, that makes it a lot easier, but what if you're a writer? What if you're doing other stuff? Like, how do you get into a flow state? How do you put yourself into it? That seems to be like the big question.
Absolutely. I understand your point. Basically, athletes or sports are precisely doing physical work. There is a measurable quality. Like, if they are doing that stuff, people from outside can see it. But the first step is their internal state of mind. So if, certain practices you do, then you can get into that state of flow. For example, if you are really loving your work, then the work doesn't seem to be work. It becomes fun. So you get into it. And if the task is really very important to you, then, if you love the work, the task is important to you. It is challenging, but it is not too hard that you get, you stretch yourself, but you don't snap. So basically, you choose the task that way, and you choose the, quiet or peak time to do those things. If I am a writer, if I'm choosing a time where there are no distractions, because of course we talk about willpower a lot, but willpower is also a muscle. It gets tired. It needs rest. So willpower needs to be used at a time when you are at a peak level. For example, if somebody is a morning person, or somebody is a night person. So if I'm a morning person, if at the morning my willpower is at the peak and there is really no distraction. So in that case, you can get into that state quite as compared to the normal daytime. You get into the peak state quite easily if there is no distraction, because your willpower is totally utilized into that focused activity. So distractions, if there are no distractions, there is a clear, quiet moment with you, you can get into that flow state. So you have to, I remember something from the book Deep Work from Cal Newport, where, people talk about if something is boring, you should not do it or something. But like in high quality kind of work, there would be time when things become difficult, strenuous. So you have to use your prefrontal cortex, the frontal lobe portion of our head, to get into that work for a longer period. So by that thing, what happens is that you gain knowledge of that particular subject, and your mind transmits that knowledge into limbic portion, which is a subconscious mind. So you automate, your learning process if you basically transmit that knowledge to your subconscious mind, because our conscious mind has a limited capacity of remembering a few items at a point of time, but our subconscious mind has a very large capacity to store the things. So if you're able to transmit complex pieces of information by continuous focus, then you basically strengthen your subconscious mind and everything gets into your subconscious memory. Then when you're doing certain things, if you're doing creative work like writing, then if your subconscious mind is storing more and more information, then with the help of that memory and your imagination, this is a very good combo that your memory and imagination are working together. You are taking support from your memory and then you're imagining. So this combination gives you a high level of creativity. So you get into that state of flow by these kinds of things. This is what I feel.
Do you feel when you're in flow? Is it like a sudden change, or is it a gradual feeling that comes over you? Like how have you experienced it?
Yeah, it feels like when you are into that state, there is an emotional kind of there is a feeling that you are getting more done. You don't want to stop, and you are happy. Like there is a feeling of fulfillment that you are doing something important. You are contributing, and in the state of flow, the ideas start coming to you at a very rapid pace. You have to capture those ideas. So it's a sense of like something infinite intelligence communicating to you that yes, basically at that point of time you become a kind of conduit where something has to pass through you, and you have removed all the obstacles or mental self-talk out of the way, and something is flowing through you, and you are basically creating that stuff. So that is what is the flow state, where you yourself, your logical mind, your all kind of arguments which you make to not do anything, or kind of you stop doing certain things, procrastinate things, everything gets away on the side. So what I have experienced is that it's not like every day it happens, but whenever it has happened, it has given me that kind of feeling. And people who are high performance, I'm sure that they feel these kinds of feeling more often, because I have experience of corporate world, I have experience of this solitude journey of writing. So if I have experience, so I know that people who I know who are working at the high performer level, they definitely experience these kinds of flow state.
Okay. So have you interacted with people that have read? I mean, you've written tons of books. Any feedback you've gotten in particular that seems to repeat itself, or questions people have, or difficulties they have in achieving what you write about?
I received many emails from readers, or some people shared their comments on social media also about my books. For example, when I wrote a book called Conquer Your Fear of Failure, I received few emails from the readers that they were going through a tougher phase of life, and they received my book. They found because I have mentioned dozens of strategies in that book about how to conquer your fear of failure. So I received an email from somebody in Nigeria. So they were basically, that lady was saying that her husband is out of job from last 2-3 years. So they were going through tough times. But, one specific strategy about how one should use faith to conquer fear. Faith is a 5-letter word. Fear is a 4-letter word. Faith is mentioned in Bible also, to how you should have faith even if in the toughest of situations, to overcome those periods and keep working on that. So the strategies I mentioned in the book about how to conquer fear, so that was found very helpful. I received another email from somebody about my book called Discover Your Why. So, the kind of reviews I receive on book. So all this, in that review, basically, the person says that this book has come at a very opportune time for him. So he was struggling as to what kind of impact he should make on his surroundings and environment, and how he should be feeling very happy about what he's doing. So this book helped him to basically connect with his deeper self, and then give his own gift to the world in an effective way. So yeah, I keep on getting these kinds of emails, and the book reviews which I get is something which is which is very rewarding for me.
It's great,
as an author.
So what's left for you? What frustrates you, or what new frontiers do you want to conquer that you haven't addressed yet?
As I said, the journey of personal development is a never-ending journey. So when you I have written so many books. So the next levels for me, or basically next ventures which I want to do about is, I want to connect with more people, because I can now really see I've seen the both worlds. Like, I was into corporate world, I was meeting daily with new people and interacting with them. Now I'm into a virtual world. It's a kind of a solitude journey. I'm more of an introverted kind of person. I love the solitude. I love exploring my own mind. But I am selectively social also. Like, I want to connect with people like you who are on the same journey. So I want to be more into a kind of interacting with people. So someday, I'm just planning to start my own podcast where I would be interviewing people about their journeys, and learn from them, as well as transmit that knowledge with my interaction with those people to the outside world. That's my idea. And probably I'm also getting into some online courses about these personal development topics. So that is something which I am thinking that in 2019 I would be more focusing on besides the book, because my website is sombathla.com, and tagline I have put over there is that let's dream, explore and evolve. So I want to so basically I'm an explorer. I explored this part of writing as a solitude journey. So now I want to touch upon other areas where I could explore the heights, and then see how it goes. So what kind of things I learn, how it is financially rewarding, and how I develop rich relationship with other people around. So yeah, it's a journey, and I'm into it from last 1.5 years, and it's quite going great. My books are also being translated into 2 different languages besides English. It's Vietnamese and Arabic, and I'm hoping that in early 2019 those books would be published in those languages. That's a good moment. And I'm also in touch with one more publisher who is trying to publish it in another language. So hopefully that will also come through in the next few weeks or so. So yeah, journey is going good, and I'm getting connected with the various other authors. My work is being acknowledged. So far, great, going great.
What is it? How has it changed your relationships with loved ones and friends and everything, as you have done so much personal development? Not everyone around you can do the same amount, and I'm sure some people don't do any. So how have your relationships with everyone in your world changed? For the better, for the worse? Have they become strained? Have they become happier? I mean, what's your impression?
No, relationships have definitely improved, because I strongly believe in Stephen Covey's this maturity continuum. Like, one is everybody starts their life as a dependent person, then they move to independent, and then they move towards interdependence. So dependence, when the child is born, is like dependence from every perspective: financial, emotional, mental. So every physical, everywhere he is dependent. But when the child grows up, there comes a stage which is called independence. So independence from the outside world may appear to be like financially independent, but most people are emotionally dependent on other people for their own feelings. So most people feel that they are independent, but from financial perspective they might be, but from emotional perspective or other mental perspective, they might still be dependent on other people. So this journey of myself, when I'm researching about mindset, about how to conquer negative thoughts, how to change your mindset, or how to think intelligently. So all that stuff has given me one specific thing, that I am now able to see my thoughts and emotions separately from myself at times. I see them. So the relationship with the other people has improved, because now it appears that, when somebody is reacting at some particular point of time, in the earlier days I used to get angry, but now I at least see their perspective from where they are coming from. And then I understand that, also, again, I recall of Viktor Frankl's book, The Search. I'm just missing the name. The Search
Man's Search for Meaning.
Yeah, The Man in Search of Meaning. So basically, there is a gap between stimulus and response. So in that gap, humans have a control. So if there is some stimulant coming in form of some anger or reaction from somebody else, and then you have to react on that. So there is a gap in between that. So this journey has helped me to see at least that gap more clearly. I at least can see that yes, something is emerging from a particular thing, and now I can see also that why the other person is not able to control their anger, because they immediately look at the thing and then they start getting angry on that. I can at least realize and see that, and from my own side I can control my stuff and understand that person's perspective and behave differently, which was not the case earlier. I used to respond anger with my anger, and then this worsened the situation. But now my relationship with my wife, my kids has significantly improved. So she understands me much better now. I understand her much better. So that has improved the bonding. My relationship with friends also, I have limited number of friends, but whosoever I have, it is very deep, close. So that has improved. So this journey, I'm an avid reader from last 2 decades. I have been reading. So I was somehow thinking that how to transform this, how to use this kind of knowledge which I have gained and earn my livelihood out of it. So I'm precisely living that life. I'm not reading law anymore. I'm reading life every day. So that transition has really helped me to grow myself personally. And in the journey, I'm sure that I would be touching so many lives that they get impacted out of it. And that's the kind of achievement for me.
Yeah, no, that's great. Very good. So where can listeners start? You have a whole ton of books, more than most people I've ever heard of. If they want to learn more, if they want to start on this journey, where do you suggest they start? What's a good place?
Yeah, as I said, Richard, I'm thankful to you for giving me this opportunity to share my message with your audience. So I would love to give a free copy of my best-selling book, The Science of High Performance. If people want to get access to that, so they can simply cite my website, sombathla.com /high, HIGH. So they can get access to my book for free in their desirable format of downloading, be it Kindle, Nook, or be it PDF format. So they can simply get a copy and then they start reading it. So that's the easiest way to get access to my work. So, and once they have gone through that, I have other books about like living beyond self-doubt, conquer your fear of failure, and I have been writing a lot about thinking from in my last few books. So the latest book is The Intelligent Thinking, which is going very great. So from Science of High Performance, which your audience can get access to me, and I'm sure that your audience will definitely love this book, because they will find a lot of wisdom nuggets into it, which they could immediately start applying into their life. As I personally found this beneficial while researching and writing about it. So your audience will definitely love it. So this is my free gift to your audience, so that they could at least start to know my work. And then after that, I will be writing new books on new topics, so they can stay connected with me by joining my newsletter, and I keep on sharing my new books with people at whenever they come. So that would be the right point to start.
Okay, well, very good. Well, Som, last thing, let's spell your name and the website to make sure people get it. So can you spell it for me?
Yeah, my website is sombathla.com. It is SOMBATHLA.com. SOMBATHLA.com. Sombathla. Yeah. Yes, that's right.
Okay. Well, very good. Well, Som, thank you for coming, and keep the journey going. That's awesome that you're doing all this stuff, and I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yeah, pleasure is mine, and thank you very much, Richard, for giving me this platform to share my message with at least some portion of the world which is connected with you, and they will now come to know about my work. So thank you very much.
Okay.
You're listening to the Future Tech Podcast with Richard Jacobs. Future technologies such as artificial intelligence, stem cells, 3D printing, gene editing, Bitcoin, blockchain, the microbiome, quantum computing, virtual reality, and exploring space are much closer than you might think. In fact, many early versions of these technologies are in play right now, and the companies that are using these technologies are the focus of this podcast. My goal for you, the listener, is to learn from these podcasts. You may very well learn something that may change the course of your life for the better, steer you towards a new career, or give you insight into addressing a thorny medical problem. Remember, this podcast and its content is informational in nature only. No medical, tax, legal, financial, or psychological advice is being given. If you enjoyed the podcast, please listen, subscribe, like, and tell your friends about it. Thank you.